Hello, friendos. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Frosty Talks. Where today I'm not going to talk too much about Vic. I'm just gonna put some last minute thoughts after since last you know last episode. It was the hearing, and he just lost a couple of I guess. How do you really say that? They dropped a couple of charges. Let's just say that then. But some people have come out and said, like, he's got the motion to reconsider and the appeals court. So I just wanted to touch on that real quick. Those are a couple of things that I didn't think about. I thought about the appeals, but I didn't know about the motion to reconsider. So that's that's that. But that's all I'm going to talk about for Vic today. There's probably going to be some more to talk about later on this week, but a couple of things have happened in during the week that I kind of wanted to mention. First off, you guys know that I'm a huge Power Rangers fan. So earlier this week, Robert Axelrod passed away. And that's real sad to me because Robert Axelrod was Lord Zed. And yeah, that was, it kind of hurt. Uh, he is by far one of the best villains in Power Rangers. So it's really sad to see him go. He's not going to be coming back, and that to me that's really it's really a shame. And then we got Eddie Money that passed away as well this week, a couple days ago, I believe. If you don't remember him, he did Take Me Home Tonight. Take me home tonight. I don't want to let this, or you, whatever, fuck it. I don't know the words. And he did another song I can't exactly remember, but yeah, that's a thing. So, we got some other news to talk about before I get into a little bit more personal stuff, like such as 9/11 stuff, because that was this past week, and I want to kind of talk about that, and I we'll go into a little bit of detail on my military accounts. I know on my gameplay channel, or not channel, on my gameplay videos, I go through some of the stories that I have from that, and those are fun. But I've got a couple of different stories that were pretty good, and I'll go through one of them later on today. So let's see, what was first? The news. So Rooster Teeth lost a couple of people at the beginning of the week. They left of their own accord, as far as I know, and you know, it didn't really feel like they had some kind of animosity towards Rooster Teeth, but it felt kind of weird, like it might have been preemptive. There was a lot of weirdness with it because it came out after subscribers have been dropping their subscription due to customer service complaints, and moderators on Reddit weren't really, doing them any favors. So that's a thing. But then a couple days later, they lay off about, I think it was 13%. I don't have Hero Hayes. You know what? Let's just look it up, because Hero Hay is the one who broke that news, and I trust him more than I trust myself. So let's see if we can bring up Hero Hay. There he is. And 13%. Yeah, it was 13%. Okay, so it's about 50 people, were given the boot. And unfortunately, that does not look good for Rooster Teeth. But some people are saying that there's a curse, like you fire Vic and this is what happens. But I I, I don't like to really give into those kinds of thoughts because it's just conspiracy theories and uh, you know tall tales or what's the other word for it? Urban legends, I guess. Superstitions. Superstitions fits better. So that's that. I mean, it is what it is. I expected some kind of layoffs, especially since all that stuff was going around and stuff. So that's that. I'm gonna talk about a little bit of what I've been watching here lately on YouTube, and there are these. Excuse me, I just ate, so there's a lot of burping going on. But I'm watching a lot of reaction channels, like not necessarily like React or the Fine Brothers, although they are a pretty decent YouTube channel. I know I'm going to catch a lot of flack for that, but whatever. But what I've really been watching lately are people like Alex Hefner, No Life Shack, and Laid Back DFR. But the reason I'm watching those guys is because they're hip hop heads that are listening, that are getting into some metal and some rock music, and they've really been interesting to watch because as a rock metal fan, I'm used to hearing all this stuff. I'm used to seeing it. It doesn't really affect me anymore, So whenever I watch a rock band or a heavy metal band, I'm like, yeah, this is cool, or yeah, that's an awesome solo. And then hearing Freebird, it doesn't really affect me as much as it did. I'm like, yeah, it's an awesome guitar solo. They killed it, but let's move on to the next one. They're sitting there like flabbergasted, holding their hearts like this, looking at the camera like, and then just that bruh moment. So it's real fun to watch. Go check those guys out. I'll probably put a link in the description down below so you guys can see some of their rock and metal reactions. They don't always do rock and metal, but they do when they do those. It's enjoyable to watch. So that's that. So now that I've gotten all of that out of the way, let's talk about what date came this week, and it was of course September 11th. Now I don't live anywhere near New York. I'm actually in Kentucky, as I like to let you guys know, because I'm not really afraid of anybody doxing me. If they do, I mean, so what? You're going to come down to a no-name town, a small-ass town, and cause an uproar? I mean, the worst you're going to do is get the police called on you. We don't even have a SWAT team. Like, that's the word around the street, but I don't know. But I live in Kentucky, and I've lived here all my life, really. And so when the tower was hit the first time, there was a buzz going around because I was in middle school at this point. I was 18 years ago. I was 13, 14, and yeah, I was in middle school. I went to class, and she had the TV on, which was really weird. So I'm sitting here going, why does the teacher have the TV on? That's strange, right? So I'm watching the TV, and I don't think she was given any lessons. She was just like, we're gonna watch the coverage on this because it was the biggest thing that had ever happened up until that point. And the first plane, they showed the footage of the first plane hitting, and I'm like, what was that? What just happened? And then the second plane hit, and I think that was live that I saw that. I'm like, this can't be real. This can't be real. There are people inside that building. There are people that, were on that floor. This can't be real. Tell me this is just like a movie stunt or something like that. And then they fell. And I just remember my heart sank. My heart sank down into my stomach, and I felt sick. Like that was something that we never thought would ever happen. It's something that we never even fathomed, I don't think. Like, normally when it comes to stuff like that, we're just like, yeah, whatever. It's a terrorist that was just pissed off at the government, but it was never a foreign entity attacking us. Like, that was unheard of at that point. And George Bush was the president at that time, and there was a lot of animosity towards him and stuff. It seems like anytime there's a Republican president, there's a lot of animosity towards him from a lot of people. Like, everybody liked Barack Obama, everybody liked Bill Clinton, but if you look at it, George Bush is unanimously hated, and even now, looking back on it, I felt a lot of there's a lot of people that were angry with him, and I never understood that because every president has their good points and their bad points, even the current one, especially the current one, but there's never been something so visceral, I think, towards a president that I had seen or I had started paying attention to at that point. Like, when I went from middle school to high school, there was a lot of, American Idiot had come out, and that was pretty anti-U.S. Like, it was painfully obvious that Green Day was just doing that for political points, I guess. And that's when I started to fall out of Green Day, even because I liked them before American Idiot, and I don't think I've liked anything of theirs since. I think it's because they became more emo. But there's so much animosity towards George W. Bush, and I think it's unwarranted because he tried really hard to keep the country together and to answer this senseless act of violence. And I think now that we're looking back on him, I think there's a lot of people who look back on him a little bit more fondly than they did when he was in office. So that, to me, kind of says a lot, especially about the ideals of politics and stuff like that. So that's just something that I've noticed over the years, especially when, the Twin Towers were hit and they went down and towards this. But I just remember when that initial thing happened that I felt sick to my stomach. I didn't want this to ever happen again. And I think that was the point where I decided I was going to join the military. I'm not 100% sure if that was because it's been fucking 18 years. So it's it's been crazy. So that was fun. And then, of course, the Pentagon and uh, the other flight that went down in the middle of nowhere. My my heart goes out to the families. Hopefully, they've healed since then. It's never going to be the same. I understand that, but that kind of thing. Uh, those people that took down that plane in the middle of nowhere were heroes because I think that was headed towards the White House. So it's it's amazing that those people got away. Well, didn't really get away because they died in the wreck, but that they didn't expect Americans to go, nah, fuck this. We are not going to you know have our plane taken over by these terrorists and not fight back. There's no way. Because I mean, if they reach their goal, then a lot more people are going to die, and to me, I wouldn't want that. But yeah, those guys are heroes, and the people who responded were heroes, and we're still having issues with a lot of the stuff that came from that, and that's what really I guess hurts the most is that the lasting effects of September 11th, 2001, is a little bit more um, long lasting, that just it's sad. But I go from that to another sad story. I swear we're gonna get to some good stories here in a minute, so just bear with it. I want to explain, why I decided to join the military. So I had an idea that I wanted to join the military. My dad was in, my grandfather was in, and my uncle was in. I think both of them might have gone, or maybe all four of them did. I don't know. I know just one of my uncles for a fact went in. So I knew I wanted to go in, but I didn't know what I wanted to do, and it wasn't until like my junior year, maybe senior year of high school, that I found out, which branch I wanted to go in. Which branch I wanted to go in. So I went and decided that I knew I wanted to go in, but I didn't know which one. So at that point in time, I found out that one of my best friends had leukemia, and it was in remission. Like he had beat it and stuff. So it came back. I think this was my freshman year of college. That he came over and he sat on my bed because my room at that point didn't have a couch, even though I have like large TV and this, that, and the other. But he sat down on my bed and he's like, "Hey, man, um, it, if I be it came back, and he was going to have a bone marrow transplant, and he goes, if I beat this again, I'm going to go to Marine Recruiter and see if I can join. Would you join with me?" And this guy I had known since the fourth grade. So that's quite a long time. Fourth through, 12th is the final one for high school. So that it's quite a long time. And, you know, I looked him dead in the eye and I said, "Man, we've known each other for so long. We've been friends for fucking ever. I would follow you to the ends of the earth And I think that those were my exact words. And about a week later, it was after Thanksgiving, and I got a call from his mom, and he had passed away. So what had happened was he got the bone marrow transplant, and he had a blood clot, and it got loose and went to his heart. So he it was a blow to me. The guy was like a brother, and so when the time finally came, because I was out of college by the time I actually decided to join, and I was like, well, I can't really go to the Marines because that was mine and his thing. That was the thing that we were going to do together. And I just couldn't, like, whenever you make a promise to someone and you're like me, you don't like to unfulfill that promise, but at the same time, if that person who you promised to do that thing with is no longer there, it just doesn't feel right, So I ended up joining the Kentucky National Guard, the same unit that my dad was in, the 2nd 138th Field Artillery Regiment, Field Artillery's Brigade, I guess. You'd think I would remember if it was a regiment or a brigade, but, I believe it was brigade. So I joined that in 2009, and I graduated basic training in 2010, because basic training is about 9 months, or not 9 months, 9 weeks. And so I ended up graduating in 2010, and I got deployed in 2013, which I'm going to show you something. That was our date for for our deployments was September 2012 through July 2013. So that's cool. And then our unit crest is on top. These were special ordered by a sergeant of mine to always remember where we. I think there's dirt on the trigger. I'm gonna have to clean that. I hate that. Anyway, sorry about that. But our deployment dates were September to July, 2012 to 2013, and that's where my funny story for this week comes from. And so one night we're guarding something. I'm not at liberty to say, and I can't exactly say why we were guarding it because I was never given that information, because that's a need to know kind of thing. But we were guarding this thing, and we're supposed to keep people away, and we were restricted to the entrance of this area, and which made it more difficult to really guard it. But we were nonetheless we were told to guard this area, this entrance, and so we were sitting there at the entrance. We got our little bonfire going, and that we were told to put out. So that should tell you something right there, that we were told to put this out, and because I think what was going on was some kind of training exercise, and it used night vision, so we had to put out the fire. But there we are with our night vision on, and we're looking around, making sure nobody's coming, and we see these people. Uh, r- Reminder: we're right here, and the people are coming from over here. The thing that we're guarding is over here, right? Or the thing that we're supposed to keep people out of is over here. So we see people coming this way. So we put on our night vision goggles, or the eyepiece, and we start walking towards them. We've got M4s. We've got magazines. I I don't think the magazine was in the well. I can't remember what the condition of the weapon was, but I just remember that we had the M4s and we had rounds ready if we needed them. So we walk up to these people who have no idea that we're there. They're talking amongst themselves. Of course, we were in Africa, so I couldn't understand what they were saying. But the sergeant comes up and says, "Hey, you!" And they look at us in sheer terror. One guy, I swear, was about to shit himself. Like, he goes, and he's about to take off. So he's like, "You need to move along, please." And so this guy who looked like he was about to shit himself and take off, finally decided that it would just be best to walk with the rest of the crew. And of course, everybody was scared. I think that they had just come back from a celebration of some type, and they were just feeling good, and they didn't realize that they were in a area where we were. And of course, the language barrier didn't help, and the fact that we had weapons, they were probably just like, "Oh shit, we have stumbled upon something that we shouldn't have. We're about to die." But we urged them on. I think we even escorted them through the checkpoint. So that was so funny. Oh man, that just the look on that guy's face, like, "Oh shit." Oh man. But that's my story. That's my fun little story for today. And I think that's actually pretty much all I have to talk about today, because I didn't want to do too much. I'm trying to think if there's something else that I wanted to do, but for the life of me, I can't think of it, because I thought there was something else I wanted to do. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about Astral Chain. Astral Chain. Um, I've got the case. Give me 1 second. Got the case in here, I swear. So as you guys know, I'm running through Astral Chain right now for the Nintendo Switch, and to to be honest with you, it's a great game. Like I've been playing Bayonetta and stuff like that, and I really wanted to talk about it for a little bit, because as you guys know, I can't really talk too much about games that I'm playing, for two reasons. Number one, when I'm playing them, I'm experiencing I'm experiencing them for the first time. So all of my reactions and thoughts and everything are genuine to themselves for the most part. Like with Breath of the Wild, I had been playing it for a couple years now. I've beaten it twice now. I've even gone through the Trials of the Sword. Not all of them. I'm still working on the, I guess, master part of them. But for the most part, everything that I've done, I've already done. I even did all the shrines. I never got all the Korok seeds, but I'm not a completionist. I'll leave that for Gerard. But a lot of these games that I play for you guys, I'm playing for the first time, and this is one of them that I have genuinely enjoyed. I played the first little bit of it on my own just to see, just to get a feel of the game, because that's what I always want to do. Is I want to get a feel of the game, see if it's worth actually putting on my YouTube channel, and then I'll put it on my YouTube channel. With Bayonetta, I'm not very good at the game, and it makes me sad to admit that, but at the same time, uh, I hate timing mechanics, especially with like hack and slashes, like what Bayonetta is, because to me it interrupts the pace. But a lot of times you'll find that the more, I guess, skilled you are at the game is the better you are, or the better you can be at it, which I guess makes a lot of sense, because I am trash at Bayonetta. But the more I played it is kind of the better I got at it. But at the same time, I'm not as into it as I am Astral Chain. And the reason being is because number one, there was such animosity towards the game before it was released because they're police officers. As you can see, it says police right there. And all right, I guess it says police. And so, a lot of people were like, well, I'm not going to play that game because you play as police officers. I was like, you shouldn't let that stop you from playing a good game, because a good game is a good game, And so I checked it out, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm not very far into it right now, so I don't know what's going to happen, but I think I've already spoiled it for myself. Because every anime has that big twist. Persona 5 had a huge twist in it. I'm not going to go over that. If you've played Persona 5, you know what I'm talking about. I hope. And then, well, it had several twists to it, but that's for another day. I may do a video game review on it. I'm thinking about starting to do reviews. But for the most part, for the most part, I'm enjoying it. There are some wonky issues with it. Nothing mechanically, or there's no real glitches that I've seen so far. But there are some design choices that I don't think I agree with, but it's still too early in the game to tell, so I can't really give it a full review. But from what I've played of it, I enjoy it, and it's mechanically sound. It's a lot of fun to play. So, yeah, it's great. So, why did I want to talk about this? Well, number one, the police stuff. But number two, it's a fantastic game. If you haven't picked it up, try picking it up. It's just it's a fun time. So, that's really all I got to say about it. And I guess that's it for this week, guys. Hopefully, I'll have some more Vic stuff next week. Not, just a rehash of what I've already gone through. Vic's got these options and that option. I want to actually have something substantial for you guys. And for that one guy that keeps commenting on my Vic stuff, saying that only an idiot would believe that Vic was going to win his case, to you I say, look, man, I'm not going to knock you for saying that, but you're coming into a video that you know is going to talk about Vic in a positive light. There's no need to be like, oh, you were an idiot if you thought this. Name calling is not going to help us mend the anime community, number one. And number two, this divide is coming from the voice actors. Like, I'm under the influence that if there is no proof, then there is no allegation. You can make up false things about people. I've had false things made up about me. Domestic abuse was one of them, with one of my exes. And let me tell you, that's not fun to go through. It's not. Like, I lost practically all my friends. And not only did I lose practically all my friends, I lost a good friendship with the ex-girlfriend that I had previous. And not only that, but it turns out she was the one doing the domestic abuse because I got cornered one night, and she tried to knee me in the you know what area. So I had to get her away from me so I could escape. And you know that it's never as simple as people think it is, because a lot of times the person who's accusing may be the person who has actually done it. Because you can ask any of the people that I've dated afterwards and before. I don't abuse people. I don't hurt people, because that's not the way I think relationships should be. I think a relationship should be, let's talk it out, and if feelings get a little too high or too hurt, take a walk. Just take a walk, cool yourself, and come back, talk with a cool, calm demeanor. That's why I've never, ever called anybody on the Kick Vic side an idiot, because I don't think that solves anything. I don't think that helps anything. If anything, that causes more of a divide, because these people like anime. We all like anime. Calling somebody an idiot lessens how that person looks to you. And if you have a big audience and you call that person an idiot, it lessens your audience's view of that person. Because at the end of the day, they're all people. Vic is a person. Monica is a person. Excuse me. Jamie's a person. Ron is a person. Even though he's done some very bad things and has proof behind that. But I'm just saying, it doesn't help to call people names, because that gets us nowhere. Now, if someone's attacking you and you've got to defend yourself, that's a completely different story. I highly suggest that if someone is attacking you, you fight back, because that's why we're at the point we're at now. Like, this cancel culture is causing a very, very harsh divide in our society, period. Because you got these people who know the impact of these allegations, and they're going to level them against you if you step out of line. And if you just lay down and take it, then you're not going to be better off. I mean, look at Alex Holoka, I think his name was. He's no longer on this earth because of Zoe Quinn's allegations against him. Vic could have easily ended up in that same position. Easily. Hell, I think he was starting down that path before he sought help. So, raising these allegations against people and having their livelihoods taken from them, that's not right. You need to, if you do have these allegations against someone like Harvey Weinstein, have proof, which these people did against Weinstein, against Cosby, and of course against the guy who ran the island. These people had evidence of those allegations. And that's what ultimately mattered in the end. We don't have any type of definitive proof that Vic did these things. Hell, we don't even have a solid, consistent story of Vic doing these things. But here we are. Vic doesn't have his job at Rooster Teeth. Vic doesn't have his job at Funimation. And now that he's fighting back, people are going after him even harder. That's not how this world is supposed to work. I know I didn't. I know I said I wasn't going to talk much about Vic, but this kind of devolved into a story about that tied in with Vic, and I didn't really want that, but I kind of wanted to hit on this toxic culture of cancel culture and the reason why our society is declining the way it is. It's because of this idea that what I say, and if I get a big enough mob behind me, I can tear you down. That is a fear that I don't ever want to encounter, because at the end of the day, one person is enough to tear your world down. A mob of people is enough to really, really destroy you. But anyway, guys, that's all the time I'm going to take up for today. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, you stay frosty.